Hello and welcome to the 49ers First and 10 podcast. 10 minutes of the most up-to-date 49ers news first thing in the morning. I'm your host, Brianna McDonald. Joining me is team reporter Lindsay Polares. The San Francisco 49ers wrapped up their very first preseason game against the Tennessee Titans this Saturday. It ended in a close loss, 17-13, but there are some key takeaways from this preseason contest. First off, it was an interesting watch for the faithful since there weren't many starters in, which we knew ahead of time. Head coach Kyle Shanahan wasn't calling plays in this game. Lindsay, how did the absence of the team's starters impact the overall strategy in this game?
Yeah, Brie, I think it's a lot of what we talked about leading up to the game. Like you mentioned, we were well aware that the starter contingency was going to be low. And if there were expected starters playing in this game, we really weren't going to expect them to play a ton of snaps. Because obviously you want to ramp up for the season, but also balance the line of making sure everyone stays healthy or as healthy as possible. So I think again, Saturday's game was about seeing how younger players, offseason additions, those undrafted free agent signings, the rookies, how everyone's coming together and developing after a pretty grueling 3 weeks of training camp because, as you know, it has just been day after day after day of practice. And these games are a chance to finally put everything that's being worked on in those training camp practices out on the field, see how we're trending. And I think that's exactly what you got on Saturday. So, yes. And the fact that, it was a competitive game. The 49ers are very much in it until the very last seconds of regulation, I think is a positive sign. And you did see some pretty good developments from younger players in this game. So I think overall, a lot of good things coming out of Saturday.
Another thing, we paid some extra attention to special teams in this game. How are the 49ers adapting to this new kickoff rule?
I think it was pretty interesting to watch because you've seen some of the new kickoff rules put into action because you've had the Hall of Fame games, some other preseason games. This was the first time that the 49ers put it into action. What we've seen over the course of training camp is that there are tandems of kick returners that have been working together. And there's been various combinations over the last 3 weeks of training camp. They went heavily with Ronnie Bell and Trent Taylor in this game. And it was, again, it was just different, right? You've got a whole different lineup, a landing zone. And the whole point of this new kickoff rule is one, to increase player safety, and then also make the kickoff a play that can, result in explosive plays, that it's not just a throwaway play. I do think that we saw that Trent Taylor had a couple of returns for 18 yards and then 19 yards. When the 49ers were actually the kicking team, we did see that the Titans got an explosive play. It was a 63-yard return, but then they were able to limit Tennessee in the second half to just an 18-yard return. So again, I think right now it's every team is just figuring out the best strategy to this new kickoff rule, but definitely a great learning experience for everybody watching, and I'm sure everybody on the field as well.
Yeah, definitely. And just like you mentioned earlier, this preseason slate serves as a great time to evaluate the team's newcomers and rookie players. So, after just one matchup now, is there anyone that really stands out to you?
I think one name that was mentioned a lot on X in many articles, in my article as well, if you read my takeaways article from Saturday, is linebacker D. Winters. He's a younger player that was drafted in the 6th round of last year's draft. And you can just see that he is taken that second year, that sophomore jump that you want to see from the rookies of last year. He is playing, like we've mentioned over the course of training camp, confidently, aggressively, very much in the 49ers style of play, fast and physical. We hear that a lot. And I think a couple of plays that really stood out to me was a goal line tackle that D. Winters had of Titans quarterback Will Levis. It held off a would-be touchdown on that play. The Titans went on to score later on in the drive, but then he also had a tackle for loss of 6 yards of running back Tyjae Spears on another drive. You just see, I thought it was, a good impression of a Dre Greenlaw type tackle in both those situations. Fast, physical, to the point, very effective. So looking forward to seeing more from him. He's somebody that has been talked about, like I mentioned, a lot over the course of training camp, and you saw that in action during these live game reps.
Yeah, let's check in with the 2024 draft class. Do you award any rookies of the game?
I think it's more just a collective effort. I think the rookies put together some nice highlight plays in this game, right? I think we're too early in the preseason slate to, I guess, give awards out, but I did want to call out safety Malik Mustafa. I thought he had a great second quarter play. He actually stopped a Titans fourth down attempt by bringing down Hassan Haskins in the backfield. And that was an interesting play because the 49ers actually had to challenge the Titans being awarded a first down. They won the challenge, so that effectively means that Mustafa was able to force a turnover on downs. The 49ers ended up taking over on the 2-yard line, but that's got to be a good confidence booster for a rookie to make a big play in his first outing of these live game action reps. Then we had rookie corner Renardo Green. He actually came up with a loose ball. So again, involved in another turnover there. And then we saw offensive lineman Dominic Pooney. He got the start with the 49ers offensive line. I think, again, just great reps and work for a rookie offensive lineman. And I heard head coach Kyle Shanahan talk about Pooney's performance after the game, and he said, well, I didn't get mad at him, so that's always a good sign.
I mean, I didn't get mad at him for anything, so that usually means that you played pretty good. I mean, the O-line, we rarely keep our eyes on the O-line. We're watching the secondary and coverages, and usually when someone misses something is when you notice them. So I have a feeling that he did pretty good, but I'll know when I get on the plane.
Offensive line isn't always the focus immediately until you get into the game tape because there's so much going on the field. But if you don't get called out on the offensive line, I do think that is a positive sign that you're doing the right thing. So I think things are trending in the right direction with him as well.
All right. Yeah. Speaking of a lot going on during the game, we saw 2 quarterbacks under center this weekend. What's your assessment of Brandon Allen and Joshua Dobbs' performances in their bid for that backup quarterback role?
After Saturday, I think they're both still very much contenders for that position. Each of them played one half of Saturday's preseason opener against the Titans. Brandon Allen got the start. He completed 7 of 13 pass attempts for 98 yards. His longest throw was to Frank Darby, a 33-yard just kind of line drive down the middle. Dobbs took over in the second half, completed 14 of 20 pass attempts for 146 yards. You saw him really settle in the fourth quarter and play a little bit more confidently than he did right out of the half. He had hit Trent Taylor for a 21-yard gain for a big third down conversion. And he put the 49ers in a position to win. Like I said, up until those final seconds of the game, took a Hail Mary shot, didn't work. But again, you just want to see development. You want to see both of them just become more comfortable in the system. This is Allen's second season with the Niners. For Dobbs, he's done quite a bit of jumping around in the last calendar year. So it's great to see him, again, settle in that fourth quarter, start to really look comfortable in the 49ers offense. So I think steps, again, in the right direction, which is really the goal of these preseason games.
I thought they did a good job. I thought, Brandon, especially his first drive, I was happy with the whole offense there. I think we had some penalties and stuff, got us in some bad situations, but he overcame a few with some big throws on third down. And I thought Josh came in and gave us a chance to win. And he made some real good throws there at the end. Just came up a little bit short, but I thought both of them made some plays.
All right, preseason week 1 is now in the books. Lindsay, what should we expect for the week ahead?
Yeah, so for the week ahead, a little bit of a change of plans. The 49ers are actually going to be staying in Santa Clara for practices, and then we've got that second preseason game coming up on Sunday, so we're rocking and rolling. Obviously some bumps and bruises are carrying over from training camp, so we'll keep an eye on players that are, dealing with some lingering injuries, but 49ers are back to work today. They had the day off Sunday. So plenty more practice updates coming throughout the week.
All right, faithful, that will do it for today. Subscribe for more 49ers updates and turn on the notifications for any breaking news, Move the Chains episodes. Thanks for tuning in.